up, peoples? Whoa. Okay, that's better. Yay. Oh, what up, everybody? I'm Hero, and this is the lovely moon. Ah, right now we're back. We're actually here to talk to you about. Um, we just want to just have a discussion about this documentary we ran into. Well, I ran into. She happened to participate in it willfully. She chose her own will into actually like doing this. So I don't want to hear none of these people coming out. You forced her to do this. You oppressor. She knows what I'm talking about. But I'm about to stop beating around the bush. We were watching this documentary called, and you actually are all about to jump down with us in the rabbit hole. The documentary is called The Red Pill. Now I know that cultural slogan has been going on around, pretty much around the political social social stratosphere for a while, as saying is conservatism and all this and that. No, this is basically this documentary we actually we bumped into is about this girl named Cassie Jaye, who's the director and producer of this film. It's actually like really good. If those you haven't, it's on Amazon Prime. It's on Amazon Prime. What up, Swagger?
Hey, Chris.
It's definitely on. It's on Amazon Prime, and I recommend anybody who, if you like documentaries, you'll enjoy this. But if you just want to just watch something that's informative, I recommend you watch it. But it's about this girl. She's a feminist, and she decided to dig into the MRAs, the men's right activists, and digging into that, she didn't realize her own views would be challenged. That's the thing about it. So she started. What made her actually like check out the MRAs was these two incidents that happened on the news, and I think it was about like in 2012 or 13, where these college kids raped this girl, and there was an incident in India that happened where a woman was gang raped in India, and with that happening, it made people be like, well, it made her actually check out rape culture and all this stuff. So she dug into it, and she actually like went in and she filmed everything they're saying. It was to the point where I expected, because when it came on, one of the guys was actually like reading one of the posts on the website. What was it? Yeah, it was a Voice for Men. It was a voiceformen.com or something like that. And it explained it at the movie why he said that. She did, Cassie did. And she, like I said, she's a feminist. In the post it said, and the guy was talking about it, like October, which is basically domestic violence month, as well as breast cancer awareness month, but it's also the domestic violence month for those who don't know. And he said October should be what, bash your bitch in the face month or something like that. Yeah. And he said that, and it had me almost to the point where a question mark just went off in my head, like, what the hell? So when you go on, when we go on and watch it, it's to the point where we're like, okay, all right. She, the first person she interviews is what's his name? Paul. Is it Paul Elam? Yeah, Paul Elam, who is like the founder for a Voice for Men, and he sits down with Cassie and breaks everything down, and they're all asking like, why are you a hate group and everything? You're like, no, we're basically not a hate group. We're basically here to critique both sexes, but we're here to also say that men actually need help too. It's not, these aren't just women issues. Like domestic violence is not a woman's issue. It's a violence issue. It needs to be actually like stopped on both ends, because you have women are just as violent as men. And that's what he was saying. It's like this needs to be critiqued on both ends, because it's a mixed bag, because you have perpetrators on one end. It wouldn't make no sense. It wouldn't make any sense to say that men are complete perpetrators and women aren't. So that's basically what they were there to do. It was him, Dean Esme, who I thought was actually an interesting person as well, because I don't know whether he was nervous the entire time speaking about this or whatnot, but it showed. I mean, he probably had signs of distress talking about it, because it was a very very sensitive subject to talk about. Like, they aren't saying women aren't what's the word I'm looking for? Women aren't basically, women have the advantage. That's what they basically were saying. Like, women have the advantage over men in a lot of cases, because they also have it to the point where a few people talk about custody battles on here, and one of the custody battles, the guy, what's his name? Was it Fred? Yeah, I think it was Fred Hayward. Yeah, well, he lost his child. Yeah, it's like he was fighting tooth and nail for his child or whatnot, because he was an activist. Dr. Warren Farrell, who was a feminist at first. He was a feminist at first. Well, I don't want to call him a feminist. He wasn't a feminist. He was pretty much he was basically helping with the feminist movement. And he's a card. Yeah, you might even say he was a feminist, because he was a card-carrying member of the National Women's Organization. So he was helping out on women's, because Gloria Steinem, I think her name is, who's a well-known feminist, pretty much worked with her and everything. But when he decided to actually say, you know what, I need to talk about the situation that happened with men, they stopped booking him for college on college campuses and everything. And that's the point of the whole movement. It was a good documentary. And the thing is, what made me, like, I remember, for those who don't know about, like, this guy named Tommy Sotomayor, he actually had an interview with one of the honey badgers, who's also males rights. They're males rights activists too, but they're like the women version. They're called the honey badgers. Is her name is Karen Strawman, and he interviewed her. And I remember watching it, like, what, 2013 or 2012 or something like that. And you know, she was talking about that situation then, about like how feminism is and how it's effective to men and women at the same time, because it's almost to the point where women kind of dissipate their value as well as diminishing the value of men. So it was a deep documentary. They also brought in a lot of statistics as well. It's like saying that as far as like which I knew this, because I mean, I knew some of this, but I didn't know all of it. I'm not gonna sit there and just say that I knew this. Like when it came to what was it? Like men are like sentenced 63% of like more prison time than women for the same crime. I didn't even know that. So that was a trip. So it was a bunch of stuff that went on. I'm talking too much. What did you think about it?
I
What? We had all these conversations, and now you go actually like go silent. No, man.
um, I don't know. I'm not for feminists. Like, I'm sure if actual feminists was to meet me, they would like not get along with me. Just because I see things differently.
I mean, what do you mean?
Well, they're all for being independent and making their own money.
But it's not even just that. I don't even, it's not that, because they had areas in there that actually made me scratch a lot. Like for instance, when we were talking about the situation where the guy was in, what was it, South Carolina or something like that. What a woman.
It didn't. That was the guy that. The guys in Carolina. That was the woman gave the baby up for adoption. He was trying to get. He was going through court to try to get her back from the adopted parents.
That wasn't in Carolina. No,
yeah.
No, that wasn't in Carolina.
Yeah, it was. The one.
No, that was the guy. What was the situation where the guy?
They didn't actually say where that one was at, but.
No, I could have sworn it said like Carolina.
No, that was the guy that got the kid, and his daughter ended up getting put up for adoption. But like there's a law in some states that, for example, one of the guys, this woman just put, I don't know if she knew him in person or just randomly just went through a phone book and picked a guy out and put him down as the father on the birth certificate, but he had a paternity test done, found out the kid isn't even his, yet he's facing jail time for child support for over $30,000 because
$32,000 as a matter of fact,
because he hasn't been paying child support. Well, he has DNA proving he's not the father, but because she put his name down on the birth certificate, he is legally responsible for that child now, even though there's proof he's not the father of the child. And she says she had to put him down so she can get what was it, benefits or whatever?
Yeah, she was trying to get I don't even know if it was welfare, but she was definitely trying government benefits. And that's the craziest thing about it.
Like, I don't even know why that law exists. That makes no sense.
The guy was almost homeless and everything.
There was another guy where his wife was pregnant and I don't remember where they lived, but she ended up moving to Utah just to deliver the baby.
So he didn't have any rights at all.
Yeah, so he can't have no rights over that child. Stuff like that literally.
Or the guy who committed suicide, his body was found in the desert due to the fact that he found out that he wasn't going to see his little guy.
He was gonna. Well, it was the day they said it was the day before his court date.
Yeah, he found out that he wasn't going to see his son.
He was going to see his son even less time, and he just couldn't deal with it anymore and went out in the desert.
Yeah, he
somewhere
went out in the desert
and shot himself in the head.
Or one of the cases that was in Texas, where this was a real case in Texas where it was it's paternity. It's considered paternity fraud. And one of the cases was there's 5 kids. This guy and his wife, and she had an affair.
Guy down.
And it gets even more messed up because he goes, well, one of the 5 kids got into some situation, had to be rushed to the hospital. They couldn't get a hold of mom, but they got a hold of the dad. They got a hold of the dad. They were like, they needed to draw blood. And he was like, okay, well, take mine. They took his blood and said, nah, this no can do. It don't match. What you talking about? Not your kid. So, and yeah, it was the guy up the street. That's a real case. And it's like, to think about that situation, like, dude, that's malicious. Like to do something like that, because it was the guy up the street. What happens to the father? What happens to the kids? I mean, and it's like, I think he was devoted like 7 years of their life or something like that.
Long time.
Yeah, that's enough. The emotional attachment is there. You know. So yeah, it was situations like that. What else? Erin Peasy. She's from London. She started like with the women's movement in the beginning, and decided to be like. She opened the first women's shelter in 1971, and she when she opened the shelter, she also opened the shelter for men. But she's barred from her own shelter till this day, because even she bought the building, but she's barred from it. So, and the reason why she's barred from it was when she opened a women's shelter, she also learned the fact of that women are just as violent as men from that, because it was, and also violent to their children. That's what she actually like came up with, because she had a discussion, and this was all on film too. She had a discussion like she said women are inherently violent just as much as men, and a lot of women said, yeah, that's true. But when she said that and spoke out, to the actual women's movement, the feminist movement, they're like, nah, you're pretty much like an apologist to male violence and all this and that, all this jazz. And I'm like, how is that even possible? Like that's not what she's saying at all. She didn't say that. But if you want to run with it like that, a lot of situations are good, because Cassie when she started hearing both sides of the fence, because it got to the point where, she started hearing all the MRAs, and she started really like scratching her head, like, man, what the, like I didn't understand. I was actually changing my own views. I was just trying to understand them. When she was understanding them, she also had to look deep into what she believed, and when she did that, her world started kind of not shattering. I don't want to say that. But it was to the point where she had to regroup and understand what was going on. She really had to like understand what she truly believed in. And you had, oh God, bruh, what's her name? Catherine Spiller. She's like the executive director and editor of Miss Magazine. That was the times I started like pulling out my hair while watching that damn documentary. It started getting on my nerves after a while. But I sat there, grit my teeth. But before I did that, I had to pause many times, and like, while she was laughing at me, she thought it was funny. I didn't think it was funny, because I'm looking like, well, how can this? Because I look at it like this. And let me go back first. To say women aren't as violent as men. I'm gonna bring up this incident, and everybody remembers when the Jay-Z and Solange incident happened. When that happened, if you were on Twitter and Facebook, if you was on social media, I'm pretty sure you saw memes, and I'm pretty sure you saw parodies. I saw a few. I actually shared a couple. Some of the parodies are funny. Some of them were just like, really. But in all actuality, it wasn't a funny issue because what we saw was a domestic issue, like a mainstream domestic issue that everybody laughed at, myself included, because I didn't laugh at the issue, I laughed at the parody, but still I'm laughing at the issue. So that's still no excuse. But when that happened, I saw some women who were actually like applauding this. I saw some people actually applauding this. But if we twist it and turn the spectrum and just like look at it from the other end, it wouldn't be funny at all. That shit wouldn't be funny. It'd be to the point where it's like Jay-Z would have lost all his money, all his endorsements, all his businesses. He would be like Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby right now. But at that time, they didn't have a Me Too movement. But I guarantee that would have sparked the Me Too movement quicker. Hands down.
I didn't think it was funny. I thought it was stupid.
It was stupid, but it was still to the point where it's like when that went on, you had people who actually like were cheering this on. They were literally like cheering this on. I seen some stuff on Twitter that I wish I would have saved to my phone.
I mean, that's like the they did the same thing when that female took the machete and raped her ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, that just happened like a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. There were people, you know.
Yeah, they had women who was actually like applauding that shit too.
Yeah. Talking about they do it too. And yeah, I find all that type of stuff just stupid, unnecessary.
Even in watching this documentary, it's like when I listen to the MRA, and I'm not being biased on this situation, but I listen to feminists and I listen to the MRA, and it came down to the middle, and because there's this saying is like you got the truth is always in the middle of something. And you know, you got this person actually voicing and this person voicing. But I heard the MRAs, because the MRAs was on Front Street. I'm like, yeah, you have to actually like say something, come up with truth. But everything they actually like came in with an argument, it was to the point where they had statistics behind it. They had everything behind it. It wasn't just based off emotion. Like the situation where they're like over 2,000 women's shelters and only one man shelter. So let me get this straight. And I've known a bunch of dudes that actually like got in situations with that lady at the time, or I don't want to dig too deep in there, but I know a few people that got in situations like that where if he hits her, he can hurt her, but he takes beating and there's nothing he can do. So if he leaves, his car gets vandalized and everything. That's an act of domestic violence. Okay, where is he gonna go? These shelters don't take men. There's only one that takes him, and it's actually like north of us in Arkansas. I don't know where in Arkansas, but it's in Arkansas. So out of all these, it's like, and I think it was in 2014 or something like that, where they had statistics that popped up and said there were more men who were actually domestically abused than women. It was like 1 million more. It was 1 million more that was domestically abused than women. And You should. You should. Hey, Scott. But yeah, there were more men, a million more men abused. I think it was a million more, or maybe like, I forgot. But I know that number was way higher than women that year. And the fact of when it came to it, nobody said anything. It's like, okay, this issue is what they came up with conclusion with, the MRAs came up with conclusion with is this. I think it was Dr. Warren Farrell said if we expose that issue, then it's no longer a gender issue. It'll be no longer a gender issue, which always made me wonder, even as a kid, or matter of fact, when I was a teenager, when I heard about these situations, like in domestic violence, I'm like, well, shouldn't it be a violence issue, a domestic violence issue, not a woman's issue? Like when it comes to rape, think about this. When have you heard a man just say a woman raped me and nobody laughed at that man? And I'm asking you that too. Like it's like, see, this is the thing when it comes to rape, and I always said this too, and I said this to somebody, I said, when it comes to rape, we'll joke, people will joke all day about men being raped. Men will joke, people will joke all day about I'm laughing at what you just said. It's about, oh, mom, hey mom. But anyway, people will joke all day about men being raped, and there's been many jokes about this. There's been parodies about it.
Yeah, they say there's less.
What? Less what? Men being raped?
Yeah, they say there's less cases of men being raped than there is women. But I think that's because men are basically ashamed of saying something about it. Therefore, there's hardly any cases on it.
Yeah, I mean, most men basically. Go ahead.
People think just because you're a man, it's like you should enjoy it. It's like they don't. I don't know. It's like just because you're a man, they don't see it as you being raped because, like, it's a woman. How are you gonna let a woman rape you? Like, but it's. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Matter of fact, you've heard this song twice since you've been around me. You've been with me. Korn's song "Daddy," and the song, and I'm a huge Korn fan. And this was off their first album. This was like, what, 21 years ago? Yeah, 21. No, bro. Not 21 years ago. I'm tripping. Because they 20 was in 2014. That was their 20. Yeah, you got it. You can see it. You see it? What's wrong?
I was reading it. It
okay.
Disappeared.
No, it's right here too. You also can see it right here.
I can't read from this part.
Oh, where it says your dad was never raped, but I was beaten in my first marriage. And those situations do happen. But like I was saying, anyway, about Korn, the singer Jonathan Davis. The name of the song is called "Daddy," and for anybody who hasn't heard the song, listen to it. I'm gonna put it to you like this: I think it's 12 songs on that album or 13 songs on that album. That last song is always hard to listen to.
Yeah, it made me cry.
Yeah, it made you
Especially
cry.
at the end when he starts crying.
Well, I mean, it's like I remember when Monkey and Head said this when they were recording this song. And the song is basically about his babysitter raped him as a kid. And he told his parents, and his parents didn't believe him. So basically, he's in the whole song. When you listen to it, it sounds like a whole cognitive thought. Cognitive. I cannot speak today. And basically, it's just to the point where it's repetitive. It's going over and over and over. And it's almost to the point where when it gets to the end, it was just raw emotion. All you heard was just him. That was the first time I ever heard like a grown man crying on a record. To the point where you felt his pain, you felt his hurt. It's like he was holding that in for so long until that time where he just let it all out. Even during the 20th anniversary, like when they played the entire album from front to back, that being the last song on the album, he performed that in all those cities. He did it for the fans. Even though that's like a torment to him, he still did it. But it's also, he's an actor. Advocate, not an activist, an advocate for those who were like molested as a child. And this is he was a kid, and it's like if it was a little girl, people would actually be jumping on that front street. But since it's a little boy, nobody says anything about these things. It's like we don't say protect our children. Anything that happens to a little boy is naturally supposed to be accepted. Which is weird to me. I never understood that. It's like that's naturally accepted because he's a boy. But if she's a girl, that's a no-no. It should be a no-no across the board. And that's when the bias comes in. Even when it comes to domestic violence, what's her name? Catherine Spiller. What she said, that's a clean term for saying wife beating. And I'm like, how can you just say that when men actually get abused too? That's crazy. What tripped me out also is the fact of about the wrongful paternity situation. Like one of the guys, I think his name was Carnell Smith, where he actually said in France, you can't get a paternity test. It's like if pick him up off the floor. What?
I don't know.
I'm confused. Anyway, in France, you can't get a paternity test without the mother actually, being around. You'd be prosecuted. You would like be criminally prosecuted. No DNA test. Like the guy who in America, I'm staying. No, I think it was in Carolina, baby. I think that was in Carolina. I'm telling you, I think it wasn't. If I go back and watch that documentary, it's in Carolina. You owe me a Gatorade.
It was not. It didn't say where it was at.
I remember what he said. I think it did.
No, it was the guy that his daughter got.
No, his daughter. He was in Denver. That guy was in Denver, and she moved to Utah to actually make sure he didn't get any rights to the child.
There were 3 guys that their kids got put up for adoption by the mother without their consent. The first one they talked about was in Carolina. It was either north or south, I don't remember.
That was South Carolina. The other one was North Carolina. Not the dude who.
I don't know.
What?
What?
He said we need a Star Trek transporter. Your uncle was stuck on the floor. What? How?
He probably looking for Bob or under his bed. I don't know. He's old, so stuff happens.
Mm-hmm. It does. I'm not gonna sit here and say it doesn't. But even then, oh yeah, another thing she tripped me out and said, Catherine Spiller, when she said, he was feeding the dog. Oh, that sucks. Another. Oh yeah, what she said about the right before sex and everything. Because let's say you got pregnant,
Yeah.
you have all the rights. The only right I have beforehand is whether to choose to have sex or not. Really? No. No. Whether to choose, I can choose abstinence. I can choose birth control as far as using a condom and all that. That's all I can. That's all I can do. But the minute you get pregnant, all the decisions go to you.
See, I see it. Well, I told you how I felt about that. Like, first of all, I would never be like that. And also, they want to be like, it's my body, it's my choice, whatever. But part of you is like in there.
I know that, but they don't deem it like that.
It's like, it's your DNA.
They don't care.
Is in there.
Your body, your choice. Your body, your choice. That's exactly what it is. That's how it goes. That's how it's supposed to go to them.
He says he agrees.
Continue, man. I'm checking something out right quick.
No, he just said to tell you he agrees.
Oh.
Scott.
I appreciate that. But is to continue what I'm saying, it makes no sense.
Mel came. He's reading Mel.
Okay, I'm back. Anyway, but it makes no sense to even say that my only choices, which I only have 3 choices. But let's say if you basically trick me into having sex. I mean, trick me into you getting pregnant or whatnot. Where does that leave me? And what if I don't? I even brought that analogy to you before. Let's say, yeah, let's use that scenario. I don't want the kid. I say I don't want a child right now because it's situations A, B, and C. A being I just don't want one. B because we're not financially straight. C, I would like a better environment for us. I'm using that as examples. And you like, no, I want kids. I'm like, well, we're not ready yet. We're not stable yet. We don't need kids when we're not stable. And we continue this argument, and it just completely dissipates. It just goes out in the wind. So, in my mind, you're taking your birth control. You're taking birth control. You saying you're still on the pill and all this and that. You're still, or just any birth control, whatever. And I'm like, in my head, okay, cool. You get pregnant. Or let's say you're not on birth control and I'm using condoms. Who's to say you didn't put a hole in the damn condom? Who's to say that doesn't happen? But I have to deal with it. It's like I don't want the kid, so the kid comes. But I'm saying I don't want the kid. And yes, indeed. But Listen, okay, but I don't. All right, I'm using this all as example, but I'm saying I don't want the kid, but you do. I have to. I can sign over my rights, and I still pay 18 years of child support. I gotta give up my paycheck, garnish my paychecks, or anything that happens to that. And if I miss a court date, if I not even just a court date, if I miss a payment, I'm going to jail, flat out.
Not necessarily 18 years. Like, for example, Scott's son is going to be 25, and his mother is still hounding him to pay child support.
Why? He says this. Oh, okay. Oh, that frustrated me just hearing it. Okay. No, this is how I was when I was watching this documentary, because it made my head hurt. It made my heart hurt for situations. At certain points, it made me angry. And I wasn't like off the wall angry. I was like rationally angry. When I get to the point where I know how to intellectualize my emotions. But when I get like that, I am upset. So just hearing that just made me be like, okay, I understand this. And my father said this, my mother said this. And my father said this mostly. He said, that's a job that you are going to be with for the rest of your life. And that's going to be a parent. You're a parent no matter what. I understand it. And you don't even get to see it. See, situations like that's aggravating. It's like, hold up. You mean to tell me I'm actually giving up my wallet? It's basically a bribe. That's basically what they're doing. They're bribing you. No, you're not a bribe. You're being extorted.
Like, they don't even care. They don't even care. They just, it's the fact that you're not in the kid's life or anything. It's the fact they just want the money.
Right. This is a business. And I'm sorry. See, like I said, for those who haven't seen Tommy Sotomayor, check him out. Dude is dope. But he also says this. And it may be cruel the way it's gonna come off, but this is the truth. Some people don't realize this, but this is true. For those who've been in situations like that where parents actually divorced or your father wasn't around, he said this. You're probably alive because your father left. And I'm about to get into that right now. That sounds cruel, but in a way it's true, because I'm starting to realize that. Because, what's his name? I got all the names written down and everything. I'm gonna just show all the names, all the stuff and then written down. Fred Hayward. All right, his story was one of the most interesting ones. Since Scott, y'all old enough probably to know about this movie, Serpico with Al Pacino. That was back in like the 70s. I remember seeing it, like my grandfather when he made rest in peace. I remember him actually like putting it on, I think it was Cinemax one day or something like that. I think he had the VHS. And check out the Walkaway people. Okay. Oh, yeah, I've been checking it out. Walkaway, I've been checking it out. Cause it had me. I follow a few people that actually have been doing it. So I'm really enjoying it and seeing that go about the walkaway movement. I'm really enjoying that. That's actually pretty cool to see people actually not fall into ID politics and not fall into globalism or established politics. They pretty much breaking away from that. They're pretty much choosing their own life. I love that. I love the fact that people are doing so. But anyway, the movie Serpico. He's an undercover cop. He's from New York and whatnot. And this is a real story of Frank Serpico. He goes and now this is Fred Hayward explaining this story from the movie. I was a kid when I saw it, so I barely remember it, but he brought me up to speed. So he goes through this movie undercover, and he gets shot at the end of the movie, and he gets his pension. Well, his girlfriend at the time tricked him into having a kid. and he she told his like sister or something like that. Yeah, she told her sister, I think it was. She told her sister that she would go trick him into having a kid, and the courts knew this. Like, yeah, you would trick his pension. He lost 90% of it given to her because of tricking him with the kid. So Fred Hayward, at the time, he was married, and he wrote this piece. And whatnot. His wife used to proofread it, but he said he'll never have. He said at the time he'll never have kids with his wife due to the fact that she had an anger issue. He said you need to get that checked. I don't want to bring a child in this world when you're that angry. I don't want to do it, and I understand that. Now, see, that's his right. His right, supposedly. Okay, hey River. So that's his right, and upon that right, he exercised it, but he got screwed at the end. So what right does it have? What right do you have when you get screwed over? That's basically you're screwing over a person's human right at that point. But anyway, so Fred Hayward's wife, actually tricks him into having a kid, and his child was conceived that way, and she started doing all the same stuff that he was going through and all the stuff he was writing about how single parent homes shouldn't be. It should be two parents in the home, and divorces, all this shouldn't be a part of it. He was writing all that. So his ex-wife at that time, he was going through a custody battle, and he was being with his son, watching his son grow up. He was actually getting him in activity because on his mom's side, the little boy's mom's side, it was heavy. It was heavy set and whatnot, and he would watch TV all day, wouldn't do any activities. But when he was with his dad, he was always active. He ate well, and he did a lot of various activities. And the reason why she actually tried to keep him big is because so she can someone use that as a crutch to him.
So that she was purposely making her child overweight so that he would look like her side of the family, because her and her side of the family they're all overweight, and that way he looks like he's
Yeah, he was small. He was a small dude.
Yeah.
So, and then also she would actually say things to him like, your daddy's a mean man and your daddy's a bad man, and she would just be toying with his son. So what he decided to do to help him, because his son didn't like the fact that people at school were calling him all types of names and everything. So what he would do, his Fred would do for his son is every morning, his son would actually looked up to him. And right, I heard about that. Why did it freeze?
Yeah.
It froze, but if it froze, I'm still gonna talk. You can still hear me. So anyway, until actually come back, I don't understand why it froze. But anyway, I'm gonna still talk. So with that being said, what he do for his son actually because I'm pretty sure for those who actually had their father and they understood the fact that you also did everything your father. Okay, cool. As long as you can hear me. But you did everything your father did. I did it with my pops and my brothers did the same thing. We all did the same thing with our father. Okay, we back. Good. When I wanted to learn how to shave as a kid, and 6 years old, I would use my dad's broken razors and whatnot. I used to do that. So with that's weird. Oh, it just does that. I don't know why I'm doing that. Anyway, so he would actually get on the scale in the morning and weigh himself and write down the date, write down the weight, and his son would do the same thing. And it actually like encouraged him to lose weight. So, you know, every time he goes to his mom, he'll gain a pound or something like that. And he'll come back, and it's like all this is documented. All this is documented. So, even his own physician knew the problem. His physician knew the problem. His dad knew the problem. His son knew the problem. So they went to court. As going to court, the judges, and this would made me actually be like, bruh, I would have just lost it. They said, in order to solve this problem, they said the father should not weigh the son. Problem solved. That absolves everything. The bullying at school and everything. That absolves that. So he was fighting this whole situation, the custody situation, for 14 years. When it came to the 14th year, he started to get like sick, real sick. And at that point, he couldn't do it anymore. It was like he was dying. So he decided to give up the ghost and just, give up custody. Which that was like one of the most heartbreaking stories I've like heard in that situation. That's one of the most hard. There's plenty on that documentary. So I'm like, at that time, I think you started crying at that time. You was like, she was in tears at that time. So I was like, all I could do was put my head down because I was like, man, I felt bad for him because it's like, you actually put a price tag on a child. I don't like, even now I'm kind of getting worked up over it because it makes no sense. How can you put a price tag on a child? How can you extort somebody for a child? That's basically what it is. It's extortion. There's nothing you can say about that. It's like the court system when it comes to custody battles, that's extortion. Child support is extortion. That's what it is. You're being extorted. So you mean to tell me, and then on top of that, a lot of people don't tell that when it comes to that situation of the male side, where they actually like, because I know a few people going through it with child support, and they take care of their kids. They're in their children, like the mother actually like wants to be a pain. So I'm like, is this situation for you or for the child? Because I don't get that. And some people, so I've even heard, and I've actually been in many debates, especially with other women, where they talk about, oh, child support, we gotta deal with paying the lights and dealing with all this and that. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. If you didn't have kids, you have to pay all your utilities and rent. So it makes no sense to bring that into the argument because we don't have kids. We don't have kids right now, but I still gotta pay rent. So I'm sorry, that argument doesn't fly with me. That's a whack argument. The state has invested interest in all they do is parents get along, the state. Yeah. I can agree to that. I mean, it's big business for them anyway. Even the whole situation with domestic violence. There was another thing they showed in there that was like Karen Strong, and she brought up this, and I watched the documentary. I'm probably gonna watch it more times than this, but I watched it 3 times. And it's like every time you watch it, you find more and more stuff. Because I didn't pay attention to the fact of when she was talking about the Boko Haram. And for those who don't know who the Boko Haram is, that's basically they were a terrorist group in Africa, in Nigeria or whatnot. And they were depicted to be if not just as bad or worse than ISIS. And they did a timeline. Because she was talking about like how the media discriminates on boys, but when it comes to girls, they were all on it. I know y'all remember that campaign. I think it was 2014 when they did the Bring Back Our Girls campaign in Nigeria. Now, for one, I'm gonna say this. I think human trafficking is disgusting. I always thought that was disgusting. That's why I myself, definitely my brothers, are advocates. Why can't I speak today? My goodness. Advocates of children who are pretty much we donated to causes like that to stop child trafficking or trafficking period. Mostly children being trafficked. I find that very disgusting and utterly disturbing. And for anybody to actually participate in that act, I hope something malicious happens to you. So anyway, that situation with the Bring Our Girls Back campaign, I didn't pay attention to that campaign like talking about. I didn't really dig too deep into it, but obviously, because I don't really follow trends I talk about. I really don't. Any hashtag or whatever, I just never really follow it. But the cause, I can actually support the cause other ways by just without doing a hashtag on Twitter. So the Boko Haram, what they did was they went into school and it was a bunch of trucks and they rounded all these girls up. And this was in 2014. They rounded all these girls up and put them all in these trucks, and they said they were going to be sold into slavery. Now, a year before, they ran into a school in a school at that time, and they had boys and girls, and they separated the girls and they separated the boys, and they let the girls go. They let the girls go. They told them these exact words. They said, "Go home, repent,
get married."
Yeah, get married, and all your sins, and repent that repent your sins, and Allah will forgive you. That was it. Other hand, they burned the boys alive. Their timeline go all the way back to 2011. They killed thousands, millions of boys. Not one word. Not one word at all. They had it to the point where they ran into a dorm. They actually burned 46 boys alive. They blew up a building with nothing but men and boys in it. It was a whole bunch of stuff. Decapitations of men. They killed a couple women at the time. But oh and behold, when that situation, now I'm not saying that shouldn't get national attention or international attention. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the outrage on this hand should have been dealt with in 2011. When they slaughtered all those men in the middle of the street in broad daylight, that should have been dealt with then. But you wait till 2014 where you could actually start a campaign. Bring Our Girls Back. Those girls would have been fine in 2014 if you would have dealt with that in 2011. The act of urgency irks me when it comes to situations like that. Franklin Scandal with the boys in town back in the 80s. I'm gonna check that out. Franklin Scandal. I'm gonna look that up tonight. I'm gonna definitely look that up. but it's been many cases of that as well. And if they ever have, I don't know if they would have a MRA. If I would have to find out, I have to go on their website and see if they have an MRA um, conference, yeah, or a lecture or something like that. You know, would you? I mean, I've never been to college per se, but I would like to actually like go and check out some of these lectures. I mean, other than just watching them on streaming. I mean, as an adult, I mean, education is education. I'd rather self-education than anything. But I still like to hear from other people's opinions. But what else was actually pretty interesting? Oh goodness. I'm pretty sure everybody knows about this meme. The big red, oh god, she is the feminist with the red hair that's from Canada. Chanty Binks or whatever her name. Yeah, that okay. That Me Too movement, at first it started off to the point where it was kind of genuine. It was definitely kind of genuine in the beginning. But after a while it turned into a witch hunt. It really turned into like the Salem trials. The Salem witch trials. It really did. Because it was like to the point where you started attacking people that didn't do anything. Like one of the, I forgot his name. He's a Middle Eastern actor. I forgot his name. You probably know what I'm talking about. You ever seen Harold and Kumar? Was he in Harold and Kumar? No, it wasn't him. I forgot his name. I can't remember his name. I can't remember the name. But anyway, he was dating a girl. And they had sex. And everything was cool. A day later, I think it was a week later or something like that, she regretted it and said, tried to get him for rape. I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. I'm like, I'm sorry, just because you actually like, there's been many cases of regret that everybody has had in their lives where they were like, I wish I would have never slept with this person. And yeah. I know you're talking about though, but him. But I know exactly what you're talking about, him. And I was like, wait a minute. There's been many times where like I've had regrets of actually like sleeping with somebody before. I'm pretty sure everybody has had that in their life, but not once have I thought about like going back and being like, you know what? I'm gonna charge you for. I'm gonna do something to get you actually like arrested or something gonna happen to you. That makes no sense. Why? I don't get that. It's like even with Morgan Freeman. Really? But it's like, okay, this is what trips me out. Even a lot of people are side-eyeing Terry Crews too, because it's a situation. Okay, I'm not gonna say I understand, but there's ways he could have handled that better than what he did, because the way he handled it was almost to the point where he let that guy slide. I'm sorry. I don't want to say I'm socially awkward, but I am somewhat to the point where it's like if I'm out in public and I'm around too many people, I'm kind of skittish. So if you bump up to me and do something crazy, I'm gonna be looking at you like, what the Now I can understand situations Whereas, you know, not even. Okay, let me go back and retract that. If you do anything to me by like violating me in any sort of way, I would actually have that like what you doing? Like that's should be your initial reaction as a man. If a dude tries to go down and grab you down low, your person is like, if you actually like, hey, how you doing? Shake a person's hand and just give them a dap or something like that and bring them in close. You pat them on the back or something, and they take your hand and all of a sudden they just go down low. You man, what's wrong with you? That's your first initial reaction as a man. Your next reaction is two options to the situation now. You can, one, cock back and give him a falcon punch across the face. That's one, but that's gonna cause too much attention, and that's gonna cause too many problems. Or you could calm yourself down and actually talk to him to the point where it's like, let me holler at you right quick, let me talk to you. And be direct as possible. Be stern and direct. You don't have to be threatening. Trust me. But I'm talking about somebody who has power. Now, as a regular guy, as regular people as us, yeah, that will happen. That'll be the first thing to happen. But then again, I know we don't like to go to court. We don't want to deal with that process. So there's one way of handling that, which is a rational way, but you still got to be stern. It's like, there's ways of actually putting the fear in God into a person without threatening, without like really being that direct and threatening. You can also put it to the point where it's like you can be stern and make a person be like respect you without having to go, well, he punched me in my face, or he actually like threatened me. There's ways of, but he could have actually like, especially like you being around an area that's so distinguished. You're supposedly in this distinguished. I'm probably saying the wrong word. Event. And there are people who are like multimillionaires who have power, has a lot of power, and they're basically elites. In that situation, they're basically elitists. So you don't want to punch nobody in the face, especially you're not in cool with somebody and they have people who are down with that. I'm pretty sure you would actually want to deal with it a different way. But the way he did it was to the point, if you saw the hearing, and I'm not laughing at the guy, I'm just laughing at the situation of how he handled it. Because I think he threw his wife under the bus. Oh wow. Well, yeah, that's, I don't think that works well for anybody who does something like that. Not whatsoever. But anyway, yeah, I don't think that would go well. Because at first I was all about like seeing, because I was seeing stories out the yin yang when I was seeing men come out the woodworks and talk about their situations. Hey, if a person violates your space in that way, and there's no other way of dealing with it, hey, it is what it is. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. Because I mean, a lot of people, they don't get it. It trips me out to the fact of, especially like when it comes to men, for instance, when we get violated, we will not say we'll take it to the grave. Almost. Some men die from stress holding that in. And that's another thing they said. It's like women live 5 years longer than women live 5 years longer than men, which is, I mean, I happen to see that a lot in society. Another thing that when it comes to equality, and I'm all for, if you want an equal playing field, that's cool. Matter of fact, Hillary Clinton, and the reason why I say that, she was dodging that question like nothing, boy. This was during the election when they showed that. I think the primaries at that time. Yeah, it was the primaries. And he said one of the generals of the military, United States military, said if men and women are able-bodied and qualified, they should actually like sign up for enlisting. They should be actually all signed up for enlisting and for the draft. It's kind of crazy, but he said I forgot his name. I think it was Anderson Cooper. I think it was from CNN. Yeah, and he asked her what she think about that. She dodged the hell out that question. She was like, I don't know what he actually meant about not about signing up for enlistment as far as like for the draft. But I tell you one thing, everybody should actually like be able to sign up and vote. I'm like, that's not the damn question. Why did you just pull a matrix and just dodge that question? You're screaming, okay. When it comes to feminism and when it comes to equality, that's supposed to be to the point where it's supposed to be a level playing field. So I'm still trying to figure out till this day, because I've done demolition. I worked in as far as like dealing with housing before. I've dealt hard jobs. I've dealt with concrete. I've worked in warehouses before. I've done odd jobs. I painted before. I painted houses before. And when I did demolition, 2 years ago? Yeah, I did demolition 2 years ago. And they had women on the job too. And they had men on the job, but they had women too. There was me and this one other dude, actually, and another guy. We called him Cowboy. He was one, and another guy named Jasper. He was another one, and that was myself. We were the only ones that was out working everybody. They had maybe like 50 people on one site. And this was during the flood. For those who don't know what happened down here, we had a flood that happened like 2 years ago. This was around the same time with the Alton a battery in it. Damn it! Why does everybody keep saying that? But anyway, it's around the Alton Sterling situation. 1 week that happened. On that Sunday after that week of all the protests and everything that happened, because we stay in the middle of everything. It's like everything is pretty much like 5 minutes away from each other. Where the police station where all the protests happened and where the shooting from Alton Sterling happened. So there were protests all around the city. Now on that Sunday, there was 3 cops that got killed. After that happened, it flooded. Like during that month, it rained like 2 weeks straight and it flooded for somebody. It flooded. And it wasn't enough rain. Not even 2 weeks, it was probably like a week and a half. And it flooded. Upon that, I actually had to work for demolition. Now working on demolition, if you haven't worked on did demolition or any hard labor, It's not easy. You have to work smart, not hard. But you're gonna work hard. Working on this job, and they had men there, and they had women. They had some lazy men there. They had a lot of lazy men there. But they had women on the job too. And they had some who was actually like complaining to go home early. They were talking about getting a paycheck. They wanted to go to get a paycheck, but they wanted to go home. Now, my thing is this, and this is my point. Women, these feminists say they actually like screaming about equal pay, but I don't see them actually like trying to do semis. I don't see them trying to be like coal miners. I don't see them trying to be ditch diggers. The ones that work out in sea, doing all the fishing and everything. I don't see many women doing that. Like talking about, it's like these other fields, of course, are male dominated because these are dangerous jobs. There's more money in this situation, yes, but these are dangerous jobs. You can die out here. I work at a furniture warehouse. Some could fall on me and I can die in a furniture warehouse. That's odd to say, but it can happen, and I don't wish that on myself or anybody, but it can happen. Firemen, policemen, people in the military. These are dangerous jobs. I had 3 women on the department and learned. What up, awesome? Right, and it don't. Welcome, awesome. Fire don't care what yeah, you're right. Fire don't care what gender it is. That's the same thing about like that. There's been many cases I've read where female officers get beat up or get injured or killed, and one of them stick in my head. I was about probably 6 or 7 years old, and there was a female cop, and that shit here in Baton Rouge, it was unheard of for cops to get killed like that. As a young kid, it was really kind of unheard of, but it kind of broke everybody's heart because the story behind it, because she was married with 2 kids, and it was to the point where the entire city kind of like broke down on that. It was bad, and it's like whereas as these dangerous jobs, these feminists say that about equal pay and equal work and all this and that. I'm like, okay, that's fine. The same opportunity, the same opportunity you want, I would like to see other women in these positions. But are you willing to actually do so? And then another thing they brought up in the documentary is saying, which I'm gonna have to read this book myself. Dr. Will, what's his name? I keep forgetting his name. Warren Farrell. That's dope. I would actually like to see more of that though. That's the thing about in hard labor, because I don't see that enough in hard labor. Like these of course is more male dominant, because I said like before, it's dangerous jobs. And a lot of people wouldn't want to risk these jobs. They wouldn't want to actually like risk the fact that you could be maimed for life. You could be killed in the line of duty, just doing your job. And I can't say I can't blame them. I really can't. I can't say that at all. I can't say, well, that's coward. I can't say that, because life is supposed to be valued. You value your life. Understand that. But to say they're not getting the same share when there's like a flood of opportunities, if you actually look, because that's the problem about it. And what I realize about society is the fact that we all deem for something, but we don't go looking for it. All right, awesome. Peace. Have a good night, man. Be safe out there too. But the thing is, in these fields like that, I would like to see more ditch diggers, semi drivers, and all this and that. I would like to see that. But are you willing to take that risk with it? that's the problem. I'm trying to wonder: is anybody willing to take that risk along their way? Are you willing to spend hours away from your family for that amount of money? Are you willing to sacrifice that time? Because that's another thing he brought up. That's another thing he actually like brought up. Really? That's another thing. It made me forget what I was about to say. Oh no, per K. Oh yeah, about oppression. He's saying like men oppress women, and saying men have all the power. Okay, I'm gonna use my scenario. You know mine, really. And you know my scenario. Me being a musician and me actually working a job until my career really takes off. You know how much time and effort I put into doing that. And how much I sacrifice doing it. Okay, this is the thing. Like the album I have that's actually like being pre-mixed and everything took me 2 years to make. Upon that, time, sleep, work, research, dealing with paperwork and all types of other things. I'm actually sacrificing all this. I'm actually doing all this. And sometimes it's like, she understands. Because at times when I come off work, I don't feel like doing anything. But she'll push me to go do that because she knows it's important. Not just for me, but she knows it's important that it actually like helps generate a foundation for us. Because I'm not just doing it for myself. Of course, that's my passion. But at the same time, it takes hours, it takes time, it takes dedication to do that. And it takes focus to do so. And she's willing to actually like, the time I'm willing to because I actually cut my time in half with her. Well, for her to actually like be for her. I actually cut my time what I'm doing to be for her. But she'll be like, no, you need to actually like focus on what you're doing and get what you need to get done. Do what you need to do. Because that's what you're supposed to do. And I accept it and I'll be like, okay, cool. To work in the music industry, and for those who don't know, people actually look at the glitz and glamour of it. But to work, to even be a part of the music industry, it's really a 24-hour-a-day job. Like, just because you got one song like that's doing good, you still have to continue to work out. You still have to network. It's about branding and other things that go along with it. So it's really hard to put in layman's terms. It's more of an experience to actually like than words, actually expressing words. I'm doing my best to do it, but I'm doing horrible. Really? These comments though. But oh my goodness, time. Really? But the time and dedication I have away from her, the time I have away from her and the time I actually like put into what I'm doing is the fact of it's a sacrifice I have. Not even just in my position as far as like my career I'm building up. Other people like politicians, it's a lot of time and effort in that. Taxi cab drivers, Uber drivers, or does long stressful hours at work. You're sacrificing time away from your family. So how is that actually like having power? If you had that much power to oppress somebody, you damn sure have enough power to actually like cut down the times you actually doing I mean, you're dealing with in your life, but you don't. It's in his book. What's it called? The Myth of Male Power. It was an excerpt they brought in. He said, women are looked at as in society. Women are looked at as sex objects, and males are looked at as success objects. And that whole situation is basically the base of the entire documentary, because women are deemed as sex objects in a lot of ways, is what they're saying, what the feminist movement is saying. And they're also dealing with the patriarchy, saying the patriarchy is the cause of all this. Supposedly, as producing in a heavily organized society. So I'm trying to figure this out. I'm like, wait a minute, it's just basically roles that everybody's fulfilling. Because as a man, I would look if she was the one who was working and I wasn't. I would be deemed pretty much. I mean, there would be no excuse for that. There would be no excuse for that whatsoever. I would pretty much be deemed as lazy. I'll probably be deemed as a male chauvinist because she's working and I'm not. I'll be deemed probably as sexist because she's working and I'm not. So I'm trying to figure out the twist of this whole situation of patriarchy, because the male role has always been this. You are to provide and protect no matter what. That's always been the role of a man. You protect your family, you provide for your family, no matter what. You are to produce for your family. And that's always been in actual society. It's like the male is always it's not about being a breadwinner, it's about basically providing for that family. You're sacrificing for that family. You're making sure your family is well off. Whereas also on the flip side of that coin, the woman's side is basically to reproduce, as far as like to nurture and give life. And I'm not saying that as far as like in birth of children. I'm talking about as far as in life, period. That's always been that role that's been given. And that's the thing about it too. I've always looked at it as, if I'm to produce something, let's say, okay, we have a child. I'm gonna use that as an example. We have a child. And if you notice that the child clings to the mother at an early age. What? Stop what? You bored?
I'm tired.
I am too. I'm getting sleepy. But at an early age, the child clings to the mother because it needs that nurturing and that love and everything, that caring. When it gets older, the child will gravitate to the father. My eyes are low. I look like high, and I don't smoke or drink. I look high, man. This looks crazy. I don't do drugs. But to talk about like producing and reproducing, that's always been a circle. It's always been a cycle. That's what pushed life forward. You get no ice. This is my ice. I'm not supposed to have it, but I still eat it. So it's mine. Thank you. But it's always been to the point of like that circle is working together, really. That's what it's supposed to be about. I produce, you reproduce. And then I started over again. It's pretty much basically a team. It's supposed to be a team. That's what patriarchy is. It's supposed to be equal in patriarchy. That's what it's supposedly patriarchy is about. If I end up producing something and giving something out to the world, as far as my time and effort and all, no. And you reproduce that, that should there's that cycle. A complete circle. But Aaron Strong said this one thing, and that kind of made me, like I said, she's a males' rights activist too, but they're called honey badgers. She said this: when it comes to the omnipotent patriarchy, our devil, our sin on society, neither am I. Our devil in society, our demon of society, patriarchy, the way is feminism. So, and she also said, it sounds like religion in a lot of ways. It sounds more like a cult, but the way they actually described it, because that's feminism who actually like really particular to language and how everything is spoken. She basically says everything that is basically demonized, that is known to be demonized of men, which is the patriarchy, and the justice of women and truth and life is women, which is feminism. So if I were to say, and has happened, if I were to say I wanted to be a fireman instead of saying a firefighter,